Tanzania, famous the world over for its breathtaking savannas, incredible wildlife, mighty Mount Kilimanjaro, and of course, some of the world's best beaches. In October of 2022, before starting this channel, we traveled to Tanzania on safari. Before making our way to the famed Serengeti National Park, we spent a few days visiting two other incredible national parks, Tarangire and Lake Manyara. This marked an amazing start to what proved to be an epic adventure. To begin our safari adventure, we flew from Bangkok to Doha, Qatar, before then flying on to Kilimanjaro Airport, located in northern Tanzania. As luck would have it, we got to see Mount Kilimanjaro just as we were coming in for landing at the airport. Before meeting up with our safari company, we spent a bit of time in the town of Moshi, which sits right at the base of Mount Kilimanjaro. We got extremely lucky, as the impressive summit came out from the clouds in the late afternoon, giving us quite the show. Mount Kilimanjaro is the tallest mountain in Africa and the tallest freestanding mountain in the world, rising 5,895 meters above the savanna below. It was also quite interesting to see snow just south of the equator, certainly in a place you wouldn't expect. The following day was an exciting one, as we met up with our safari company and headed off to our first stop, Tarangire National Park. We were traveling with a safari operator called Safari by Z, and our driver and guide for the whole of our safari was Fadili. His extensive knowledge and love for the flora and fauna of Tanzania proved to be invaluable throughout the trip. Unlike the self-drive safari we did in Namibia, for Tanzania we decided on doing a guided safari. Our mighty steed was a restored green Land Rover Defender with a convenient pop-up roof perfect for game viewing. We drove through the Tanzanian countryside, passing a sea of dust devils and dry savanna along the way. Just before entering Tarangire National Park, the bumpy road started. Our guide Fadili liked to call it the Tanzanian massage. This dusty and bumpy road led straight up to the gates of Tarangire National Park, where we officially began our Tanzanian safari adventure. Once we entered the park, we almost immediately had our first sighting. It was a small, adorable dik-dik, probably the smallest antelope we saw on the grasslands of Tanzania. Then we had our first megafauna sighting, a group of African elephants. Our guide mentioned the elephants were in must, seeing the secretions coming off the side of the elephant's head. When an elephant is in must, this leads to an increase in reproductive hormones, and subsequently makes the animal more restless, aggressive, and unpredictable. It didn't take much driving for the wildlife to come into view. The animals were practically everywhere, and it became a bit difficult to focus on any single one. Just beside a group of zebras, we spotted a male impala with its impressive set of horns. The male of the species is called a ram, whereas the females are called ewes. The females do not carry a set of horns like their male counterparts. The savanna of Tarangire was full of plain zebra. They were practically everywhere around our vehicle. Zebras are certainly one of the goofiest species you will spot while on safari, often engaging in strange and bizarre behavior wherever they are. We spotted this zebra laying motionless on the ground. He wasn't moving and his buddies were just gazing off into the grass. After a few minutes, we wondered if he was dead, but nope, he was just fine, got up and walked off. That's zebra behavior for you. With the herds of zebra, there were also tons of white-bearded wildebeest, a common sight throughout much of East Africa. You often see both zebra and wildebeest walking together, as the zebra have excellent eyesight and the wildebeest have excellent hearing, giving them a mutually beneficial advantage at spotting predators. Out of nowhere, we got a surprise from a running male ostrich. He didn't slow down one bit and just kept running like his life depended on it. I've got to say, it's unexpected moments like this that are what make going on a safari so special. As we were cruising along through the savannah, we spotted our first giraffe coming in from the right. This particular one was a Maasai giraffe. It casually walked in front of our vehicle in search of another tree to forage in. It didn't even seem to notice us. Before saying goodbye to this group of elephants, our guide spotted an African rock python, curled up in a ball in a tree just above us. These pythons are common across much of East Africa, and are known for their somewhat aggressive temperament. Having had a fantastic first day on safari, we decided to start making our way back to the park gate. Once we left, we headed for our lodge for the evening, which was located in the small town of Karatu. Along the way, our guide pulled over and bought some red bananas for us to try. Apparently they are a local specialty in the area. I gotta say, they were absolutely delicious. We woke early the next morning and headed back out of Karatu to the gates of Lake Manyara National Park, probably the smallest park we would be visiting on our safari. Unlike Tarangire, which is mostly open savanna, Lake Manyara also has areas with much thicker forests and vegetation. Just through the gates of the park, there was a huge troop of olive baboons. These primates can be found throughout much of East Africa, and I gotta say the males are quite massive, with some of them getting up to a weight of 50 kilograms. Our guide informed us to not make eye contact with them, as they perceived it as a sign of aggression. Although the large animals are always impressive, sometimes it's the less noticeable creatures that become some of the most interesting. In a stream just off of the road, we spotted a Nile monitor swimming around and looking for its next meal. Although a bit smaller than its cousins we see in Bangkok, this large lizard was awesome to watch as it went about its day. Further up the road, our guide noticed a small group of monkeys eating up in the trees. At first, we thought they were baboons, but they turned out to be Manyara monkeys, a unique species only found in the Manyara region of Tanzania. And I gotta say, their facial expressions were nothing less than comical. There were also a couple of vervet monkeys nearby. First it was one, but another one came out of nowhere to steal the food right out of its mouth. He certainly seemed a bit shocked. We made our way down to the shores of Lake Manyara, which is a relatively shallow saltwater lake and covers almost 2/3 of the total area of the national park. Our guide told us to be on the lookout for hippos, but unfortunately we didn't spot any. We did, however, see a pair of southern ground hornbills taking a leisurely stroll. Although these birds can fly, they prefer to spend much of their time hunting on the ground, as their name suggests. As we started moving back towards the park entrance, we spotted an elephant searching for food in the thicket. It just pushed the shrubs aside like they were nothing. However many we see on safari, elephants just never get boring. They are always just fascinating to observe in the wild. Just as we were about to leave, we spotted some birds jumping around up in a tree. They were silvery-cheeked hornbills. This was the first time we had ever seen these stunning birds, and unfortunately, the last time we saw them on this safari, as they prefer dense woodland to open savanna. They are easily recognizable with the unique and rugged casques on the top of their head. visiting the park and before returning to our lodge for the evening, we stopped to admire the view of the Manyara Escarpment and Lake Manyara. The next day would be an exciting one, as we made our way to the famed Serengeti National Park.